All right, guys, I'm back with another video, and this one's going to be really describing why we do what we do. So the other one's a blueprint of why we do it, but this one's just really going into a little bit deeper of a level and why we're doing what we're doing. So I hope you find this helpful. Again, like, subscribe. I'll definitely I'll continue to come up with videos. Sometimes I'll be in front of a whiteboard, sometimes I won't. I will try to, though, just to kind of give you those illustrations. All right, so remember last time we talked about the ABC model and the physiology, right? Now, one thing I forgot to tell you is this thing is just a big cycle. I give it a straight line, but it's a big cycle because let's say that I say something that's off kilter. My wife, my significant other, my kid, my friend, whatever, they say something back. I am going to, when I say something, it's going to move me towards those values or away from them, but it's going to also impact how they respond, right? So when they respond, I'm going to respond back. Okay, so depending on if I'm responding assertively, aggressively, or defensively, that's what I'm going to get back in return, because we tend to mimic each other, right? We tend to mirror each other is what we call it, right? So whether that's your wife, whether that's your friends, that's whether you're your kids. So if I'm coming off short to you, if my wife or my significant other, guess what's going to happen? I told you guys I'm not married anymore, that I had a divorce, but when he used to. But what I will tell you, just the way men and women dynamics work is that we mirror each other. So, and guys, I do kind of hold us a little more accountable for the mirroring, but men and women, we both need to be doing these things, right? So it can't just be one party doing it all alone, right? I got a pretty cool formula for that as well. But anyways, we won't get into that today. So, but mirroring each other, how we want to see the other, how we treat the other person, how we're going to be treated in return. So just kind of keep that in mind, all right? So if I'm short with my significant other, over time she's going to be short with me, and vice versa. So we both got to be cognizant of these things, and we both got to work. It can't just be one person. But sometimes it starts with one person, and that is the truth. I'll get into that another day, another time, probably. So all right, so back to this. So thoughts, emotions, behaviors, outcomes, values, right? And, we talk about these go up and down as we go through it. So what I want you to see is that your thought process is actually based on your perception of the event. So this is the lens that you look through, right? This is the lens that I'm looking at life through. So when I'm looking at life, I'm basically looking at life through my belief system. Okay? And what I want you to understand is your belief system is typically formed from the first 7 to 10 years of your life. And then, let me erase this. And then you have your peer group that kind of influences and adjusts some of that. And then you also have what I would call life experiences that interrupt or change some of those belief systems. Now, belief systems are actually based on 3 different things. All right, and again, these are things that I've learned throughout my lifetime. So one is I want to have, and my beliefs are expectations. Ooh, that key word, expectations. Or expectations, assumptions about myself, others, and the world around me, okay? The world in general, okay? So that being said, so taking a look at this, guys, what we're looking at here is myself. Where should I be? How should I look? What pictures do I have of me and how I should act and react, right? Others, how should other people talk and react? The world, how should the world operate? How should we all be treating each other, so to say? How should our government work? How should we treat people less fortunate or people more fortunate? How we look at all these things, right? Because all those create assumptions, right? Like rich people don't care about other people. Well, that's not necessarily true. They do. Sometimes they do a lot of giving, right? But we associate that with something else because of social media, what we've learned in the past. Again, in the past, depending on what I learned, right? We learned that poor people, for example, maybe poor people don't always try their hardest, or what? Is that true? Those are adjustments. These are, again, remember that thought process I had that I mentioned that we need to possibly put a question mark on? Is it a possibility? That'd be a good one to be thinking about. Is it a possibility? Maybe this person just had some bad things happen, and maybe they're just down their luck. Is it possible that someone with a lot of money is very generous? I mean, just because you don't see it doesn't necessarily mean it's not true, right? So you're going with faith, right? So we won't get into that today, but that is something I'll go into. So here's what's going on. So during this time, what's happening, and I'm going to do a linear line right here. So we'll go to today, and we'll go to when I'm born. But Every time something happens to me, right, my body is taking a score of what happens and how to react, okay? And it's also developing life lessons. So this is why your physiology is so important, because your body is taking the score. It's taking a score at 7, it's taking a score at 10 and 18 and 15 and 42. And what it's doing is this is going to be a precursor, because what happens is all this goes back up. So this all goes back up and affects how I'm thinking now, but it's also impacting how I feel. So I can take something that someone says over here, and what happens is if it triggers an emotion that I had from over here, what it's going to do is it's going to cause me to think and feel and possibly automatically respond to whatever that is without me even thinking about it. So it's really important that you understand, what are your beliefs? What are your expectations around? What are your pictures of what you think about yourself, others, and the world, and which ones of those might need a little bit of adjustments? Okay? Because guys, we all have expectations of other people, whether you're black, white, Asian, Spasian. I just made that up, but some of y'all are gonna hate me for that one too. But I just tell it how it is. I'm realistic. I don't know how else to do this. So, but this is, we all have expectations, and so our expectations though can cause us, or influence us rather, to do things that we normally wouldn't do, escalate emotions that shouldn't be escalated, all because of our perception, which is based off our expectations, which realistically is based off all this stuff that's happened over here. Right? Because my body's taking the score. Dr. John Deloney, he's a good writer. He talks about your behavior is language. Well, it is. What language are you speaking today? What behaviors are you showing other people? What behaviors are you doing that's shaping your current life and your current outcome? If you want to see a change, you're going to have to be the one to start observing that, noticing what these life experiences are, and how you're going to start interrupting the old and implementing the new. Because remember, neurologically, you got to create a new pathway, and the only way to do that is continue to do it over and over and over. That doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. I still make mistakes, guys. So but the more often we do this stuff, the more often we hit that check mark that you saw in the last video, the better you're going to get at this, and the faster it's going to happen. I guarantee it. So again, what behavior are you showing today? Are you still acting on old behaviors, or are you trying to work on doing something new? See, we got to go back here and we got to look at these, and we have to really kind of take a look at, okay, well, that's how I responded. Does that mean that's how I need to respond today? Usually the answer is no, right? And today you might have a saber-toothed tiger, which you may call your wife or husband, or your boyfriend or girlfriend, or your kid, or your mom, or your dad, or some family member, right? Or a coworker. And the thing is, they're not a saber-toothed tiger. What it is those are just, and on both parts, by the way, both people have these traumas, have these life experiences that are impacting their expectations. And that's where some of this happens. And so what we need to do is, instead of creating a fist fight, right, defense, aggression, we need to create confidence and assertiveness, which is confidence, right? Which is me looking at, me taking an honest look over here and realizing that, hey, there's not a saber-toothed tiger in the room. My wife isn't a saber-toothed tiger. My husband's not a saber-toothed tiger. My colleague's not a saber-toothed tiger. But I got to teach my body these things, and the way I teach it is by thinking differently, and then following up with the right behavior, right? That follows that, the effective behavior. All right, guys. I hope that was helpful as far as figuring out why we do what we do, because that is really more of the why. I'll get into. You'll probably hear me say this on other videos, but I do hope this is helpful. hit the like, subscribe button if you like what you're hearing. If you have any topics you want some information on, I'd be more than happy to try to make some videos around that. That may or may not include a whiteboard. I just happen to be in a place where I can actually do this today. So I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to bringing you some more information here soon. Hope you have a great day, great week, and keep that communication positive. And remember, it's one day at a time that we're making these changes. All right, take care. Bye.